and decree this gathering, this being, this mission, the legalization of our fungi relatives, and really the liberation of all sentient beings is under the divine protectorate of the original eternal life founders races in the name of the original eternal source consciousness field. And for the liberation of all sentient beings, Ta'esha Intadoe, Ta'esha Intadoe, Ta'esha Intadoe, spoken as it is stated, and so it is. Clapping is good, by the way. Clapping is so good for you, by the way. So there's a few people I want to clap for today. One is Leo, okay? Because I'm telling you, clap for Leo. And the reason I say this is because, you know, it takes a certain special type of person to be able to bring people together and to organize an event like this. And I've seen her behind the scenes texting. I've seen her behind the scenes just being like water, being able to flow with everybody, being able to communicate with all different kinds of people. And so I'm very grateful for her. And, you know, on the day every single one of us was born, you know, if Creator honors choice, right, for there to be love, there has to be choice. If there's no choice, there's no love, right? So we chose to be here, consciousness, right? We chose to be born on a specific date. We chose a specific womb, which brings me to the second person I want to clap for today, which is my beloved mother. I don't know why she's here with me today. It's crazy. It's her birthday tomorrow. It's her birthday tomorrow. Yeah. And so all of a sudden she's like, I'm going to this event with you. And I'm like, for real? Are you sure, Mom? And she's like, yeah. I said, all right, cool. But if I were born 1,000 times again, I would choose that same womb, I'm telling you. But on the day you were born, you chose that womb, you chose a specific day, and on that day, the stars and the planetary influences were aligned in such a way to give you the exact energy that you need to fulfill the reason why you were born for. And that's how intelligence consciousness is. Consciousness is intelligence, and all things are energy. Consciousness is energy. Energy is conscious, which means it's intelligent. Okay? And so when, you know, quote unquote, certain ancient scrolls say, you know, what do they say? God created man in his image. Well, there's a specific image, base 12 bioregenesis grid, as above, so below, that literally is channeled down into our plants, into us, and every single, if you want to say, architecture of the great architect of the universe uses this design, this structural design. And so it's so intelligent. And I guess my talk is titled As Above, So Below. So I want you to imagine what it would be like. I'm this LA boy, I'm working as a psychiatrist in LA. You know, everybody who has problems goes to LA. So I'm sitting there behind the desk at one of the biggest hospitals in LA, about to become a partner. And once you become a partner, they got you. Like, you're just waiting for retirement, right? You're waiting for that pension. And I had just learned about consciousness. And I'm sitting there at lunch meditating, and I just started understanding what intuition is, and it says, today you're quitting your job. And I said, yo, I'm about to become a partner, like, what am I gonna do? Like, what am I gonna do for money? And I went up there, wrote my 2 weeks notice, and then for the last 10 years, I went on this crazy full-on exploration of what is consciousness. And it's been a wild ride, and what a trip we are on, right? You guys feel it? If we're in the movie Avatar, right, and what scene are we at right now? Well, we're at that scene right now where they're going for our sacred truth. They're going for our resources. They're burning the fossil fuels. They are, going for the oil. They're what is that called? When they go deep into the ground and they start, well, what are they doing with our water? Right? Fracking. And all of these things are happening. They're going for the sacred truth, right? Greed leads to more need leads to more greed. And so we're at that point where Jake is about to go find total mokta, right? Right? So what I'm really saying is where the animals have consciousness, the plants have consciousness, and they're rising up and telling us, hey, here I am, I'm psilocybin. Hi, I'm ayahuasca. This is how I can help trauma. This is how I can help depression. This is how I can help anxiety. Right? And consciousness is neutral. A lot of times we get mistaken and we think that these plants, we call it mother ayahuasca, but actually the consciousness is neutral. It's the energy we bring to it. For example, if 50% one person and another person are going towards a green light, 50% is going to be green for one person, 50% is going to be green for the other person, unless the survival of a species depends on it. Then consciousness reserves the right to be able to put that green light on. And so right now, the plants are all coming together. Okay, and they're saying, hey, here I am. I'm here to help. And how do we know? Because we can communicate with them. Once we start activating our high-stranded DNA, we can literally communicate with the animals. We can communicate with the bird nations. This is our natural, God-given, natural sequence of who we are. And these plants are reminding us of that, because one of the greatest lies ever told is that human beings, and the greatest cover-ups really, is that human beings are third-dimensional beings. Not true. We are multi-dimensional beings. And so these plants can reveal some of those things to us. And so here I am in LA, just quit my job, going to the beach every day, praying, pumping Kundalini, doing breath work crazy. And I don't know what you did, Leo, but you invited probably one of the craziest psychiatrists alive on the planet to talk. So I'm going to take the opportunity of this and just speak my truth, because truth is love, love is truth. Right? And for there to be, balance, the truth has to come out. So the truth of our dear Native American elders and the true history of this land, the true history of what happened at the boarding schools, the true history which has been changed, needs to come forward, because truth is love, and for there to be balance once again, there needs to be truth. And so when this truth comes forward, the natural kin relationship of the understanding of our indigenous nations, of harmony and union with the rivers, harmony and union with the birds, how to live in harmony with each other in tribes, will come back forward. Right? And when the salmon come back, the bears come back. When the bears come back, then all of habitation starts coming back. And so, as a psychiatrist, what I wanted to talk about today was my first experience with the sacred plant. It was up in Topanga. And, I took the sacrament, and I was in a really high vibe. I had just started realizing what love was. When you're just waking up and you feel that amazing energy, there's so much more, and you're on that high. Yeah, I was there, and I was in no fear at all. And so, one by one, the door opens, and it's a calling to work with these plants. So, it just opened up for me, and I went, and here I am. And, I take the sacrament, and all of a sudden, I start breathing in a way I've never breathed before. And all of a sudden, I'm breathing on people. And so it's awakening a past life, which I didn't even know about, right? And then all of a sudden, the next thing, I'm feeling the whole energy of the entire room. I'm sensitive, and most star seeds are, right? Because we've come here to help, so we can feel the world's pain, so we can heal the world's pain, right? And so as I'm doing this, all of a sudden, I have to step outside. And at this point, I really didn't know what nature was. I was the LA boy, okay? If something takes over consciousness, and I go to this oak tree out there on the Topanga Hills, and I start breathing with a tree. I wasn't thinking. And as I'm doing this, all of a sudden, these neon green lines start shooting at me. And these neon green lines shooting at me from the tree into the plants, into every single plant was connected into the stars. And these neon green energy matrix lines are literally connecting me to the trees, to the earth, to the mushrooms, to the mycelium, to the stars. And I'm just sitting here breathing. And that's when I realized everything is interconnected. We are all one. And that was a time in my life where I was very lonely. So I started realizing I'm never alone. And what was happening outside of me was as within, so without. So what was actually happening was my neurons, parts of my brain that had never connected before, were connecting in such a way and releasing serotonin and dopamine in such a way that under the influence of that sacred environment and portal, if you want to call it, I was able to see as within, so without, and as above, so below. So what was happening in my brain, actually the mycelium are doing the same thing underneath the earth. All ancient cultures understood, indigenous cultures, that the trees have families. There is a grandmother tree, And they communicate in many ways, but actually, one of the ways that they do communicate is when there's a poison coming in and the grandma tree wants to protect the clan, it is through the mycelial network underground that the roots, without even trying, these mycelium mushrooms take the message from the roots, and they, like an underground internet, literally, and electrical impulses fire through the mycelium, and they carry these messages into their baby trees, warning the entire clan that there's a poison coming, that there's something going to happen, right? And how do you know? Well, talk to the trees. Seriously. Consciousness is intelligent, and we are consciousness. And so the cool thing about these plants is when we take these plants with the right setting and intention, the right music, the right sitter, and the right intention, you know, what's happening underneath the earth can happen also with us. So when one of these plants are sick, or one of these plants or trees need nutrients, without even thinking, the mycelium network is so intelligent, it sends nutrients to the member of the clan that is sick. It shares. So there's not one poor person in the entire tribe, right? So as this is happening underneath, and we start waking up to what that starts happening in our brain, then we start forming these tribes where we're literally, there's not one poor person among the tribe. And the indigenous nations understood inherently this, right? Because there was that warrior who would always get angry in the tribe, but everybody accepted him because they knew it was coming from love, and that's how he was designed. There was that wise elder who sat in the corner, who didn't say a word, just listening to everything, right? And he would make the fun call. There was the grandmother, and the grandmother was the heartbeat of the clan, because the grandmother decided which sons would go off to steal the horses. The grandmother decided what they would do with the money. The grandmother decided who would come over for dinner, right? And in the multitude of elders, there's wisdom, right? And so that's what's happening underneath the earth. And so when we take these plants in a sacred way, imagine this, right? Neurons that fire together, wire together. So here we are, and we're laying down. We've got the sacred music. We have a good intention. We've purified our body, and we take the sacred sacrament. Well, now what starts happening is our brains start firing, and different parts of our brain that never connected before are now connecting. So we're thinking differently. Our perception can change. And so if our perception changes, imagine perception is like a frequency filter that filters all frequency into your body, right? So then, all of a sudden you're in this sacred environment, and you're struggling with addiction. All of a sudden you can see your addiction from a completely different way. And all of a sudden, with one sitting, I don't want to do that anymore. You come away and you don't want to do that anymore. And there's an actual frequency genomic way, that scientific way that this happens. As the neurons fire differently together, the perception changes. That sends a signal. The brain, imagine the brain is sending the one that sends the signals to the body. So it sends a signal through the nervous system, through the water, into the body, and then as the water carries these electrical impulses carrying information, frequency carrying information, it communicates with the morphogenetic fields around our organs, around our cells, around our DNA. And when it gets that message, then the potential DNA in between the double-stranded helix, which scientists used to call junk DNA, which is actually potential DNA, because Creator does not make junk, starts lighting up, and there's a bioresonance in the intron, the potential DNA, 90% of the DNA, and it lights up, and the epigenetics change, and the proteins that we start producing changes. Therefore, our environment changes, and the internal and external start becoming into harmony, interconnectivity, right? And so now these studies are being shown that, Johns Hopkins, I actually interviewed there before psychiatry residency, and I'm so surprised that this is the actual hospital that's doing this research. Because when I went there, man, they're all wearing ties, they all go to the chapel on Monday, they're proud of their history, and I was like, I ain't going here. I'm going, but these people, they're doing groundbreaking research. Anxiety and depression, one sitting, 70 to 80% improvement. Anxiety and depression. I mean, I sat behind in LA praying to Creator, give me something that can help these people. But yeah, I can talk to them, but these medications are actually causing a chemical imbalance, not fixing one. And then when they build tolerance, you give them more, and then all of a sudden it causes side effects, and then you give them more, and then when the frontal lobe gets numb, and the most powerful sexual creative center on the planet, the second chakra becomes numb in 80% of these people, then we send them to the psychiatric hospital, and we say, you don't fit into society. And some of our most spiritual relatives are being locked up in psychiatric hospitals right now. And so I was sitting there saying, Creator, please give me something that can help. So one sitting, 70-80% of, and we understand the serotonin and, how that's happening. Science can now explain how that's happening, okay? And with addiction, the problem is not addiction. The problem is, what is the underlying pain that the people are trying to cover up? What is the underlying trauma that we're trying to cover up with alcohol, with drugs, with sugar, with, whatever, Netflix, whatever it is, because that's the underlying root issue, right? And so these plants are intelligent, and so they can help our brain wire in ways. I worked with a group that was working with, veterans, in fact, down in Mexico, with some of our plant relatives. They tried everything the system had to offer, absolutely no success. One sitting, they had their life back. 3 months of silence in the brain where it used to be hell. Right? This technology is here right now. All we need is increasing consciousness and the legalization of these plants. And we're just at that state in Avatar where we're all coming together and we're saying, hey, let's do something. They're going for our sacred tree. Right? Let's do something. Those who love peace must learn to organize just as well or better as those who love war. MLK. Right? Civil disobedience becomes a sacred duty when the state has become lawless or corrupt. Mahatma Gandhi. Okay? So, history repeats itself unless we learn. I've had ceremonies, I've sat for ceremonies where, meth addicts, they tried everything in the planet to quit, they could not quit, right? One sitting, they have a vision of a meth pipe come down, it cracks in front of them, 6 months of sobriety, right? This stuff is happening, right? I just recently sat for a Native American indigenous chief. 75 years of child and sex abuse, never was able to tell anybody about it. Because chiefs are supposed to be strong. They're not supposed to, one sitting with a combination of different types of plant relatives and he felt safe enough to explore that, to forgive that, and to let it go. Can you imagine 75 years of carrying that around in one instance, it's gone. So, what Western psychiatry and therapy cannot do in 20, 30 years, some people are having that release in 4 hours. Right? So that's happening. This is facts. And the greatest thing really is these plant relatives can teach us that death is not real. Death is a transition state in consciousness. Right? And once you're not, and think about our end of care, right? I was a geriatric psychiatrist in LA for about a year. And, I was going around seeing what they're doing to our elders and our ancestors. Crappy air, crappy circulation, crappy food. When they cry out for help, they don't even listen to what's really going on. They put them on more meds, till they're numb. Until they have drool coming out of their face. And I couldn't take it after a year. They offered me double my salary to stay. I said, I gotta go. I can't. So, but the potential here to create a new system, don't fight the system, create a new one. Right, is here. We can help our elders understand that death is not real. It's a transition state in consciousness, and to transition to the quote-unquote the other side with grace, ease, and peace. Right? And so once you're not afraid of death, then you're able to live. Truly live. And and so not to mention like turkey tail, combined, there's all kinds of things. Turkey tail combined with different cancer medications. It's so intelligent that it can pick out what cells to kill, not to kill, and what cells to kill, right? So lion's mane can increase neurogenesis. reishi chaga, there's so many of our mushroom relatives still that we're not even aware about that can help, right? So, in conclusion though, people are really scared of what they don't understand. Okay, so education, really educating everybody with science, with whatever language they speak. I mean, I'm speaking this language, but if you put me in front of a board of doctors, I can speak their language, right? We're called shapeshifters. You put me in front of a board of chief elders, I can adapt and speak that language. And many of you have been through, a lot of experiences in life so that you can adapt and speak the language that people can understand from. And that's actually a DNA thing. Whatever level of DNA activation people have, you can intuitively adapt and speak that language. So education, because once people understand it, they won't be scared of it, right? And once they're not scared of it, they may be open to an experience. Once someone has an experience, what they know, they cannot not know. Okay, they will know that we are multidimensional. They will know that death is not real. They will know that this can help the planet increase consciousness. Just want to once again mention though, setting intention, how important that is. And the last word that I want to mention, and which probably for the rest of my life I will always be reminded of, always come back to love. Always. Always love. My definition of love, as my consciousness increases, my definition of love continues to evolve. What is love? Love is the cohesive power of the universe. It's what's holding my atoms together, my cells together, my sanity together, my family together, my relationships together, this universe together. It's what holds things together. It's the cohesive power of the universe. Right? And so as we ingest these sacred sacraments and our brain starts connecting in ways and fires in ways and pathways that, that we haven't thought about before, right? That's actually happening within, so without. Then I can start perceiving things in people, and what I identify with I love. Then I can start seeing as the stars light up and they start interconnecting, as I start seeing, oh, I am from the stars. As I start seeing the plants all connected to each other, I start realizing, oh, because I can sense it now, identify with it, that is a part of me. Then I start realizing red and yellow, black and white, all are precious in her sight, that all of this is these barriers. There is a perfect love that casts out all fear, false evidence appearing real, where we are all one. There is a frequency where we are all one, and these plants, as they start showing us that, then we start identifying with every single thing and every one. It's God making love with God, right? And the energetic infrastructure that runs through all things, right? And then so I start identifying with everything. Then the words that Jesus spoke, do unto others as you have done unto me, starts resounding true. As I start realizing the way I treat another person is actually the way I'm treating myself. What you have done unto the least of them, you have done unto me. Then maybe I'm inclined to go to the prison and start sharing this beautiful, amazing message with the prisoners, with everybody, because I start realizing I am everyone. And these plants have the ability to teach us that and wake us up to the realization that we are all one, walking each other home, one giant consciousness, and love is the cohesive power of the universe, and I am love, and you are love, and we are love. Hand in hand, together we stand, we remember who we are. And then we envision that one tree, which, Jesus talked about at the New Jerusalem. Bob Marley sang about it, Zion. Eckhart Tolle wrote a book about it called New Earth. Our indigenous elders, ancestors, saw this prophecy of hoops on hoops on hoops on hoops, and all of humanity standing up, holding hands under this sacred tree, holding hands, red and yellow, black and white, all our precious inner sight. And I believe I'm going to live to see that day, and it is a joy to be here, and it's a joy to be alive, and just so I don't take myself so seriously, because sometimes I do. They're called fun guys. Fun guys. Yeah, so have fun, guys. All right.